and good morning. Welcome to the coffee table. Today, we're going to be discussing something really cool and very exciting, the IU Health Medical Device Security Lab. And yes, I had to read that off my screen because I was going to screw it up. And I have with me today Nick Sturgeon from IU Health. Hi, Nick.
Hello, hello.
And as always, the very bright and amazing Will McCullen, who is not actually in that place. No, he is. That's not a background. That's real. That's the IT Center of Excellence at PIMA Community College in Tucson, Arizona. And you were hanging out in my living room.
I got a shirt for this too.
South Louisiana. That's funny. I like it. That's me. Like ADHD overload. I'm a spinning wheel for a little while. I'm just like, what did you say? Right. It's bad.
We had first day of classes yesterday and things are still going on. So I'm having difficulties just counting.
That's hard. That's super hard.
So today should be interesting.
Very true. So I hope
welcome, Nick. You'll have no idea what you just walked into.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
Welcome to the party. So I hope everybody grabbed a cup because we're about to circle up. There you go. So thank you guys. I wanted to recap real quick. Okay. I was in Miami last week and time zones are hard. And when I looked at when I was going to land in Baton Rouge, good morning, everybody on YouTube, because I don't think LinkedIn is working still. That's really upsetting. Anyway, I see you, Blaze. Yeah. So last week we did an event in Miami for ILF called the ILF Bad Acts Benefit because I named it. So that's what you get. All right. That's what happens. It was fun. It was so fun. It was really amazing. So apparently because Zoom life, right? Or, just conference call life. I was very surprised to see that everyone was not the same height and had lower torsos. It was amazing. They walked on legs and everything like real humans. It was really cool to see. Also, I could see the shock on their face that I was actually 6'1" and like, y'all, I am not a small person. Okay. I don't know who thought this, but I am not. I am built like a linebacker. Very seriously. I think somebody at the event was actually like, you said, but I didn't believe you. I was like, that's just because you're short and you can see my double chins from there.
Well, if it's throwing axes, then all you have to do is say, should I get a box?
Right? It was like for Valhalla. I don't know. I'm just built this way.
You're short.
I can't help it. It's just the way it is. Oh,
That's
look.
awesome.
LinkedIn does work. Thank you. Yay. Whoever fixed that. So if you guys want to hear more about that, just let me know. We'll talk about it later. Today we're going to talk about Nick, though. I'm so excited.
I love talking about cool stuff.
Both yes and ouch. Ouch, Nick. He's like, I like talking about cool stuff. Not you, Rachel.
If you're cool, you're cool.
It works.
Yeah.
It works. So I met Nick because Mitch Parker is a thing. And really, did you know that I grew up in Indiana?
Yeah, you had mentioned that the first time we chatted, that 30 minutes turned into like an hour and a half, which was cool.
Did it? Oh, good.
Yeah.
And was it? Oh, perfect. Sorry. I can get real long-winded. I don't know if you guys ever seen my live stream. But yeah. Yeah, I did. I grew up just east of Indianapolis, actually. So growing up, Bobby Knight was like, I don't know, Jesus. And
yeah.
Other than Jesus, there was also Jesus. But like Bobby Knight was Jesus.
At least for the southern half of the state. North of 70 was a whole nother conversation.
All the cool kids went to IU. All the uppity kids went to Purdue.
And so does that make me uppity since I'm a PhD student at Purdue? I mean, I don't. That's the first time that I've ever been called uppity.
You're so uppity. Very uppity. Actually, I think it was probably just I was just really jealous because everything looks. I knew that black and gold was going to be a trend. Like, do you see now? Like everybody decorates with black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody decorates with red and white. I love you, IU, but nobody does.
Cream and crimson, to be exact.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
The colors are officially cream and crimson.
I love it. See, more stuff I didn't know. So, and then there was the in-between school that I went to my freshman year at, which was IUPUI. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I'm a ISU grad, so out in Terrible Hope.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I was very surprised when I moved to South Louisiana to find out that there was not only one Lafayette, but here it's Lafayette.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Cajuns there.
Yeah.
And apparently they're raging.
Yep. I've got some family, I think, in your area.
Yeah. You should come visit. We could go hang out.
Yeah.
Suck some crawfish heads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It'll be fun. It's a good time.
Oh, yeah. No, my aunt, one of my aunts, it's my mom's oldest sister, is still down in the New Orleans area. And I remember as a kid, she would come back to Indy to my grandparents' house, and gumbo and jambalaya and crawfish, and I just got hooked on it.
How can you not?
It's great stuff.
It's spicy. It's good. So I was excited just to hang out with you because I was like, my people, my Indiana people.
Yeah.
And then I met a few more too past that, but Mitch was first, and then Mitch introduced me to you, and I was like, this guy's cool. All right.
I appreciate that.
And then the first time we talked, you were talking about standing this up, and I feel like I went like this. I blinked a couple times, and you were like, and there was an article, and I was like, he's done.
Yeah, it was nice to see basically by the time we went into the facility at 16 Tech, it was over a year of planning and all of that good stuff to actually see it come to life. And not only is it really cool cybersecurity stuff, but it's an innovation project as well, and really pushing the envelope and changing the how we do business. Sorry, I've got contractors here, but I got to sign the paperwork. But I mean, it's been such a roller coaster of really exciting times and head pounding times, and not just again to be a cybersecurity project, but to be innovation in IT, IS, and cybersecurity. It has been really cool because there's beyond just the medical device security research that we'll probably get into a little bit here, but just innovation in doing things that really should have been done prior to now, but are not. But always good to take an opportunity to, be on the cutting, bleeding edge.
Yeah, definitely. Do you need to go sign something?
No, we're good. We're good.
No? Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
This is going to be the easiest podcast / live stream / we don't know what we're doing. We make it up as we go. That you will ever be a part of.
Yeah, we're good. I'll make them wait on me. They were supposed to be here Monday and had an issue and family, so I can't really get mad at the reason why they had to push back, but oh well, life goes on. Yeah, so it's really cool that we can get this done, and the support from Mitch has been just fantastic. He's one of the best bosses that I have ever worked for. And basically he's like, hey, we need to do more with medical device security. And that was it. And this was like a month or two after I took over leading the red team for IU Health. And I'm like, I don't know anything about medical device security, so I guess I better go start researching. And then after seeing basically the lack of ability for red teams and security researchers to do hands-on research, I'm like, well, we need a place. We need to get our hands on devices. And I'm like, well, we're a hospital system. We've got plenty of devices. I mean, we're the largest health system in the state of Indiana. I'm sure we've got some things just laying around.
Maybe one or two things somewhere.
Yeah.
So what was that like, trying to source all of that? Kind of like, do you just like wander into different clinics and different facilities? You're like, don't mind me. I'm going to take this. Thanks.
Yeah, no, yeah. Through our red team engagements, hey, we're going to go in and just don't mind me. I'm with IS. I'm here. We need. No, it's actually, I did things the right way, even though that kind of, it took a little bit longer, but the support we had by going the route that I did, I was able to get a couple of key senior vice presidents in the loop early on, and one of those happens to control the intake and outtake of these devices. And he's like, you guys, this idea is cool. Let me put you in touch with my people. So I got in touch with the people, and they're like, yes. So I'm like, I'll take 2 of everything, please. In case we break something. I mean, it happens.
I'm really proud of your confidence level that you were like, I'll only need 1 backup. See me, I've been like, can I have all of these?
Yeah.
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 Well, have you been able to get any of the really expensive stuff? I mean, right, because from what I hear, even things like MRI machines and stuff like that, they isolate as best they can, but are running on stuff that is either outdated or needs updates or.
Yeah. So the big bare metal machines, we're working on a collaboration agreement with a vendor of ours, a partner of ours, that will be able to help us get hands-on with some of those at a repair facility, hopefully. So we could road trip, head down I-65 a few hours and do some hands-on testing. But that's, probably 6 months to a year away before we were able to do that. The biggest machine that I have right now, actually 2 of, is a couple of big anesthesia machines, which are connected to a computer via DB9 connection. Old serial connection. I know, it's sad.
Hey.
And these are things that are hooked up and keeping people alive when they're having surgeries done. So
this is important.
Yeah, it is important.
So
I like it. Nick woke up one day and he was like, people should just not die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
let's do that.
When you find stuff, what has been the reaction? Have you gotten cooperation from companies? Have you been able to get information back and forth?
We're doing an internal familiarization right now with the devices that we have. So it's basically a tinker type of play for my team, and I am getting hands-on with these devices as well. So we're just trying to understand what they are, how they're built. I mean, taking them apart, look in, does it have JTAG, or can we do chip off, or is it just something that we can hook Wireshark up, to and sniff packets? Because my team has not had a chance to do this, because those devices that have that are on our network, when we do our pen test, are off limits. Obviously, we don't want to, go probe something that is in the middle of a surgery. So I wanted, as quick as I wanted to get things going, I did want to set my team up for success and say, okay, let's go play. It's 6 months, a year to really get familiar with these devices, bring in clinical engineers, and how do these operate within the clinical setting, and just learn. And then as we go through and discover things through the relationships that we have with some of the manufacturers directly or through our reseller, then approach those individuals, those teams with the problems that we find. Again, the point is not to give these big medical device manufacturers or even the small ones a black eye and say your products suck. No, here's what you need to do to make them better so people don't die.
Right. It's hard, right? That's constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody loves their baby. Nobody's baby's ugly. I mean, I use that. It's a kind of a very direct way to put it, but nobody thinks their baby's ugly. So
unless you're just, you're like,
yeah. But
there have been some I've seen. I mean, not my babies.
No, my babies are beautiful. I've got 3 girls. Every one of them are beautiful.
But like, I had a friend that had a similar personality, right? Go figure. We all stick together, and they had a wrinkly baby. You know what I mean? Just like, you're like, well, that's gonna iron out in just a couple of days, right? Like, that's just. Some newborn babies are not super cute. Okay, they kind of look like raisins. And
where did this conversation go?
Squirrel.
I'm sorry for the viewers out there. I'm sorry.
But it was fun. I overheard somebody come in and do the polite society thing and like, oh, what a beautiful baby. And she like, I don't know if it was the pain meds or she was uncomfortable or what, but she was like, that baby is not pretty. He will be, but not today. Stop lying. And then like, I was like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I did it. It was a unattractive laugh that happened. But no, you're right though. Nobody wants to admit that their baby's ugly, and taking that constructive criticism is hard, and not just, as a professional responsible for a device or a service or whatever it is, right? But as people too. Yeah. It's hard for us to incorporate, like to take it and not let it, don't let it wound you, right? Yeah. Like build you. So I think that's awesome that you guys have come up with a way to work with, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. With, and because that's the kind of collaboration that I know and I'm not the only one, right? Like we're all real excited to see whenever we're all locking arms and helping build each other up.
Yeah. Kumbaya.
Like, oh,
yeah.
Like,
well, come on, when you think about it in the bigger picture, right? Because we are in a cyber war, you don't want to be surprised by those things, especially when it is definitely critical infrastructure, and medical equipment falls in that kind of criticality range, right? And so this work is needed so desperately, because widespread attacks on that kind of stuff would really be bad.
Yep. And if COVID has taught us one thing, is that when people can't go to the doctor's offices and the hospitals to get checked up and are forced to stay home, and now we're exponentially expanding the IT network essentially of these hospitals and the clinical offices into the homes. Man, that's scary. I mean, and
yes,
where does our responsibility as a security organization within a hospital system stop, and the responsibility of the security of the patients begin. I mean, those lines get blurred. And if, there's just so many new vectors of potential attack for these state actors or criminal groups, or even just the individual hacker who's just curious. Oh, hey, this is open. That's just that's a risk we cannot take, and we have to know. And even from the devices, and when you stick an Ethernet card into it, or a wireless card on something that wasn't originally built, now, oh geez, how is that going to affect the rest of the network? And as I told my executive team, literally all but one of the senior vice presidents a couple weeks ago, the biggest white elephant in the room when it comes to medical device security is that most of these devices are not secure, but companies don't want to talk about it because there's PR, there's potential litigation and other risk for them to do that outside the cyber risk. But we all know, we're all talking about it. We're all trying to protect against it. But if we're not actually discussing the in the weeds details about these devices, where they're secure, we can throw all the SIMs, we can throw all of the, coolest, latest and greatest, next layer up security appliances on top of it, but you're not addressing the issue. I mean, you're really just putting a Band-Aid on the arterial bleeds. It's not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, and this falls into a whole different category, right? Because it's not just profit motive, it's not just legal motive, but it's moral motive.
Mm-hmm.
When you have lives at stake, when you have people on the line, you get into that ugly situation of where the devices and stuff are needed right now. So it's not something that you can just say, oh, well, let's just put it on the back burner for a while till we get all this worked out, and then we can put it back into play. No, you're changing a tire on a semi at 60 miles per hour, right?
Yeah, you definitely kind of building the plane as you're flying it, which is not really the best in science or engineering. But unfortunately, go back to that earlier point, with COVID really pushing this need for doctors to connect with their patients where the patients are at, because one, they're either by some local or state or federal mandate being told to stay home, or for health concerns don't want to come out, then we've got to go to them in their homes. And it is the right thing to do. I'm prior law enforcement, public service, is in my core. And that's why I was drawn to the healthcare sector. And what drives me to do everything. At the end of the day, it's about saving patients' lives. It's about making sure that when my family and I go to IU Health for our doctors, when they go there, not only is the patient data is important, protecting that. We don't obviously want to keep that privacy aspect in mind as well. But if my daughters or my wife have to go in for a life-saving surgery, I want to make sure that the IT and technology that's supporting the doctors and the nurses and the other clinicians is as absolutely secure as possible. That's what's really driving me to do this lab.
I'm glad. I really am. And I wonder, like, were there other folks like you and your team trying to do something similar? Have we heard? Because I haven't, right? But I also haven't dug really deep down into it. That's what I depend on you for, Nick.
Yeah. No, I won't claim to be the first. There are others before me, more pioneering than I have been. Kevin Fu up at the University of Michigan, who's the interim cybersecurity chief for the FDA, has the Archimedes lab. done some really cool stuff. There's the plug and play lab at Massachusetts General that they've been doing this since '07. Also, the biohacking village at DEF CON, Nina, and what they've done is all really led. And I used every single one except for the plug and play lab. I didn't find out about that until a couple months ago. But what Dr. Fu and Nina, I used that as the basis for doing more. They're doing very specific things. This pie is big enough, not only for me, but other health systems and others in this sphere to do a lot of cool things. So, I saw the gaps and the opportunities and what, is done at our community center, what's, being done or what's not being done with the biohacking village, and said, okay, these are the gaps that we can address, currently or immediately with our security lab.
I'm curious too. I mean, I know those who aren't in the medical field are aware of some devices that are connected, right? Like the big stuff, right? Like Will mentioned the MRI and stuff like that. What sort of devices do you think that people would find surprising, I guess, to know that we're connected somehow, that we're considered an IoT device?
So we have a couple of ECG machines that have both a hardwire connection and wireless connection on them. I'm like, okay, going to be able to either right there, if I'm a nurse going down and doing an EKG reading, and it's sending the results over the air, or even locally, there's a USB piece that's a whole nother story that I can't really get into, talk about discovery. But let's say we've already made impacts with some things that we found. I just can't publicly talk about them yet.
That's okay. I just wondered.
But processes are being changed and things are being addressed. So, I mean, the one of the oldest examples is former VP Dick Cheney's pacemaker. Pacemakers have had Bluetooth enabled for years. But anything that you can think of as far as implantable, whether it's a pacemaker, it's a insulin pump, all have some sort of wireless connectivity. And then as we get into more kind of microscopic or even nanotechnology aspects with RFID or some other things, it's everything. If you can, I mean, since wireless technology has gotten smaller, faster, and cheaper, it's being thrown on anything that you can think of as a competitive advantage. Look, we can connect wirelessly without any regard to the security concerns, because at the time it's using older 802.11 protocols, or God forbid, a WEP, which some of these devices are using.
Right.
So I mean, and then once they get into a patient setting, you've got all the FDA regulations about patching and updating that are some issues that I would hope to address through some process development about applying patches or updating the firmware within the clinical setting or within even within the body. Of course, that's going to take a long time to do from a scientific and vetting standpoint, but we've got to, and of course, just building the devices with security in mind from the ground up I think is another important thing to really drive through this lab and other efforts as well. It's just like, let's not think about this after we, bolt on a wireless card or Bluetooth or whatever. Let's think about how we're going to secure them from the ground up.
Do you see any aspects of the regulation slowing down progress of making changes in the cybersecurity area just because things have to be approved, gone through? Has that caused issues?
Yeah. So part of what I've I've done in setting this up is that academic rigor in our processes and our validation and doing scientific level research from the beginning. So when we go through, we have validated at every step, bringing in clinical folks as we are discovering things and looking at the potential human effects of what we're discovering. I This may get me in trouble. I think some of the manufacturers take the FDA pre and post market guidance as a crutch and say we can't do anything. Well, we're being forced. I'm sorry, that's not an excuse. Don't use the regulation as an excuse not to do anything. Power through and figure out how to do it better and make sure it's done securely and with safety in mind. Yeah, that's again, I probably get myself in trouble with some of those acts. Like, let's not use it as a crutch of why we shouldn't do it, but taking the patient safety and security in mind and why we need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that kind of is endemic throughout any kind of compliance. That argument and that mindset exists.
Yep. I've long been an advocate of if you do things right for the right reasons, the compliance piece will come. If you're doing security or safety to just check the box, then you will never be as secure or as safe as you can be. I understand. Trust me, I deal in the GRC world, and especially with the HIPAA aspects of part of my other job. I get it. You've got to keep that in mind. You use it to your advantage when you need to, to push initiatives and use it as a leveraging point, but don't use it as a crutch to say why you can't do something. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And like I said, this to me was the right thing to do.
Awesome.
I think I broke the chat again. Hey. See, I told you. You got one backup for stuff. I need way more. Anywho, I mentioned that to mention Chris Cruson, who has stepped into the LinkedIn chat that I'm trying to monitor. And asked, there's such a variety of medical devices in healthcare. As y'all do your research, do you classify these devices in any way? I've seen others recommend attribute-based classification, e.g. Bluetooth, USB, in order to create guidelines for each class of device. And I put that in our little private chat here too, just because.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's a really good question. And then for me, it's working with the clinical folks. It's working with the manufacturers to really do a better way to classify these type of devices, whether they're implantable versus like an ECG that's more of kind of diagnosing things on the externally and even from consumer grade. And obviously to me, I say it's obvious, but the way that I look at it, the closer it is to getting into the human body, the higher the level of security that you need. And also the higher risk of patient safety issues should, a patch or firmware update go wrong. So that's a really, really good question, but I don't know if I've got a full answer for that yet.
That's okay. I like the question.
Yeah, it's really good. I like being challenged.
I know you do. You're one of those where you're like, yes, thank you. Make my brain do stuff. I have nothing else. I'm so upset that I broke my chat.
That brings up a whole area, right? Because that's another unique thing that you have is once things are implanted, they're very hard to easily change, which is very different than many other areas in technology, right? Mm-hmm. So you better get it right the first time would be the idea. How much that's taking place
Yeah. Yeah, and the other aspect to this too that I think is interesting is having the clinical folks add the cyber element as part of the clinical diagnosis. Is this device working as it's supposed to? If it's not, is it because it's a defect with the device itself, age or whatever, or is it been compromised from a hacker? That's I think we're at that point where our clinical folks are going to have to start thinking about this. And I the other piece, another group that I failed to mention, and I'm so ashamed of myself for missing this, is I Am the Cavalry. Josh Corman and his team worked with a couple of doctors out of Arizona State University Medical School and did a really cool simulation a few years ago. And that was one of the inspiration pieces for me to do more is, especially on the training, the clinical piece is, can we really need to focus this in our medical education piece to our medical students, which IU Health being an adult academic health center really gets us in a good spot to do that, since we are partnered with the largest school of medicine in the country, being the IU School of Medicine. So there's another aspect to this that I think is really cool.
Well, Nick, I am just utterly impressed, and I'm so honored just to know you and be able to chat with you and ping you occasionally with stupid questions. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I know we've we've gone over our time.
Yeah, I could talk on this for days.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm like nerd. No,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a geek. I don't, my wife calls me a nerd all the time, and I'm like, no, I'm a geek.
it was funny.
I think there is a distinguish there.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I feel like it's all just, highly educated Pokemon. I got to catch them all. I don't care. Geek, nerd, whatever. Come hang out. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Whether you have tape on the glasses or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do that.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll totally be fine. This is fine. No, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming and hanging out and talking a bit about the lab that you guys have kind of put together over there as much as you can, right? I don't want to. Yeah. We don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, but, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and hang out and chat about what we're doing. And for those that want to potentially get involved, again, this is an open collaboration that we're building. You can reach out to me on social, LinkedIn. You can email me at nsturgeon@iuhealth.org. The Polititech, because my podcast is kind of cyber politics type stuff, so I tend not to do a whole lot of work related stuff there, but you can catch me there. LinkedIn's more my professional piece, but but love to interact with folks and collaborate, or see how we can collaborate and do cool research.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the work you're doing. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Yes, thank you. And
so desperately needed.
Next time you and I hang out, I'm gonna talk to you about this URL right here.
Yeah, I just grabbed my LinkedIn profile thing real quick and like, I'm old enough where the social media stuff is just outside of me really caring about.
It's not important until it was important, right?
Yeah, and it's just like now I've got other areas of my brain that need to be occupied with PhD stuff. So
I'm gonna say, I was like, don't take that at all in any kind of way. Like, really?
I'm not, I'm sure the marketing folks out there are like, oh man, I'm just not, it's not my in here in that gray matter. So
that's okay. That's totally fine. That's all right. Like, my mom was a nurse for a very, very long time. She worked ICUs, trauma, NICUs, oncology, all this stuff. brilliant, saved lives, taught future nurses how to nurse, right? All this stuff. Come home, cannot work the television remote. and the family would give her so much shit or stuff. Whoop, my bad. And I was just like, I mean, but when you guys are dying, you're gonna want her to, fix that for you. So whatever,
Yeah.
that's fine. Just turn the thing up for her. Will you just be quiet?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like that. It's okay, but I'm gonna fix it for you.
I will take all the help that I can get.
I suffer from pretty serious anemia that requires pretty routine infusions. So you help keep my devices safe, Nick, and I'll judge your marketing, okay?
And the sad thing is, my mom does marketing. That's what she
She's
ran her own
cool.
ad agency, and that did not hit anywhere close in the DNA with
That's
me.
it. I'm gonna look next time I come back to home. I don't know, what do you call that? To ground zero. I have no idea. Home, not home anymore. I've lived here for 20 years, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna take your mom out, and then I'm just gonna every time you mess it up, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna call your mom, Nick.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Nicholas, oh, I'm in trouble.
Nice. That's awesome. Thanks again. And thanks for everybody for coming and hanging out with us. This is very cool. Just like Nick said, if you want to follow their progress, collaborate with, participate, jump in the deep end with no floaties, go follow Nick. And he'll help you, maybe not drown, but he'll tell you stuff. He'll tell you stuff and it'll be neat, promise, and cybersecurity related to medical devices and IoT. I'm so glad to see more of these things coming about in the industry. Yes. Definitely wrapped around our medical care, right? Like it's one thing if suddenly my phone becomes a brick. It's another thing whenever suddenly my defibrillator is, freaking out. That's bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Bad. So I'm glad there's guys out there like you.
Well, thank you. It's fun work. It's needed. And I just appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat. So I love what you're doing with this format.
Oh, good. I just make it up as I go. Well, we look forward to hearing more from you too, and seeing what comes about. And you can always ping us for anything you need ever.
Absolutely.
All right. For the rest of everybody else, we love you so much. Y'all have a great weekend. Next week, we're going to be, what are we doing next week? We don't even know. We're doing stuff. Nick, I'm going to let you go because you got construction workers just trying to sign stuff. Yeah. We love you. Bye. We'll wrap up here. Don't worry.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks.
Nick.
I appreciate
it. Take it easy.
Oh, I love Nick. Okay. What are we doing next week? We're doing stuff. What is it? Nope. That was the one that you and Josh were so sweet to take over for me. By the way, thank you. You guys did pretty great. I gotta say.
Josh was awesome.
He was great. Nope, that's not it either. Where did I put this? I have no idea. So, Will, at the IT Center of Excellence, are you guys gonna start testing out some medical IoT?
We'd very much like to, right? Because we have a whole nursing program here at PIMA as well, and with our whole concept of a fusion center, trying to build in with all the different disciplines in the college, being able to cross-pollinate some of those cyber concepts so that our students can walk into those different disciplines with a broader understanding and be able to spot some of those dangers that they're in, right? Yeah. If nurses can walk in, it can be part of a healthcare company and go, oh, you might want to consider a little more about that. Have you thought about that? Just makes better community all the way around. So
it really does. It absolutely does. I found what we're doing next week.
Okay.
I brought Josh. Josh is coming back. I brought Josh. He's coming back, but he's going to be coming back as the angry analyst. Okay. So this is how curmudgeon Josh. This is how I know Josh, okay? It's one of the reasons why I do my job the way I do my job. Okay? It's to like, because if ever there were an angry analyst, okay, it is Josh Arnold.
Oh, this will be fun.
1,000%. So Josh first met, actually, my CEO and him knew each other before I knew my CEO. He was, SecureNation was a reseller for Josh and one of his cybersecurity teams that he was a part of. And John Davis even asked, like, pulled me aside at some, I think it was probably the second time I'd ever met him. And he was like, is he always like that? Like, always. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, he made a rep cry. I had to go get them and give them a hug and tell them it was going to be okay.
Oh my. Well, I just, from last time, it's going to be fun. I think I can figure out enough to just poke him, right? And
he's been writing a list. He's been like, it's bad. It's so bad. He's got a list of angry analyst complaints about, from everything in like dealing with other teams internally to just the way that he feels like analysts are viewed in the community, to the way that vendors treat analysts, to the way that, you know, and that's like pre-sales, right? Like pre-sales stuff. And even once they're a partner, like he was out there this morning, and I was like, do you want me to call them? Please don't hurt them. Don't do that. Anyway, so next week, that's going to be what's going on. The event's already
Awesome.
up and ready. So for anybody hanging out still, we've got 7 people hanging out on LinkedIn stuff. I love you guys. Why? I don't know. Just because you're you. I love you so much. Do you have any idea? You just look. Rachel's like 11:30. We're gonna be done. It's not happening. You guys know. It's just not. We tried, right? I do. But anyway, come hang out next week, and you get to either complain alongside or just hear some insights from a large enterprise security analyst. How about that? How about that?
Yes, but from an entertaining one.
I hope so. I hope you all are very entertained. I do. The whole point. So excited. All right. Well, I think Will and I are going to sign off. Will, did you have any closing thoughts?
No. This part of this element in this industry is so badly needed, right? You don't want to have your pacemaker come up and ask for Bitcoin. That's really important.
Super important. Super important. And I'm so glad that there are folks out there like Nick and his team at IU Health that
heck yeah,
are taking, I mean, right? Why aren't more people doing this right now? It's because it costs money. It costs money. It takes time. It's another piece of a process. But what's the big picture thinking here? We're taking better care of our patients and our community and our people. Right? Yeah. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? I want that. I want that for everybody.
Make the world a better place.
Definitely. So go do that, you guys. Go make the world a better place. Fight the battle.
Thanks, folks.
We'll see y'all next time.